What's up, everybody? Roman Pino here. You're probably spending hours creating content, all to see it not get the results that you desire. I've been in the exact same place as you, but in this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 content hacks that I've implemented for my personal brand, also for my clients, to see some amazing results. And I'm going to show it to you here in this video. I'm going to break it down each one step by step so that you could utilize it for your own business and you could get the same results. Let's get into it. This video is sponsored by my free training, The 4 Secrets Media Business Owners Do Not Want You to Know. The link for it is right beneath this video if you want to go check it out. It's completely free. It's an awesome training about the secrets that media business owners know about, that many people don't know about, and it's life-changing. I think it's going to help you a lot, so go check it out. Click that link below. So hack number 1 is the hook first formula. That is, I'm just going to summarize it here. First formula. The hook first formula. What this is the first 3 seconds of your video that is going to hook people into watching it. Does it mean it's going to keep people there the whole time? Not necessarily. What you're going to do is help people stop and engage with the video. When you do a hook first formula, that means you are constantly thinking when you're producing the content. It's not just going to be like a little behind the scenes, unless that's what the content is intended for. You're going to want to do something that hooks people to engage with this content. So some examples of hooks would be something like, "You will not believe this XYZ," or "These 3 things help revolutionize blah, 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 blah." Or maybe something like, "The transformative thing that I learned because of blah, 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 blah." These type of hooks are going to be key and they're going to be clutch to help you hook people into watching your video. There's also visual hooks. What I just said there was verbal hooks. You've probably seen a couple of videos out there that it's like a guy about the pole vault and it looks like the thing's about to bend. He just goes back and he slides and then it transitions into the video, or something about to fall on someone and right before it hits, it transitions to the video. Visual hooks like that catch the audience, it captivates them, and it helps them engage with the beginning of that video to keep them from scrolling along or passing along. Another example of a hook is, "This is why your XYZ is not working and you should do this instead." You see, just by me saying that, it probably hooked you into listen like, why isn't that working? You know, and that's the key feature of a hook, is you want to stop people right in their tracks to help them engage with that piece of content. So whenever you're doing something for your personal brand, begin to implement this. There's plenty of ways to generate different hooks out there. You could just copy people. You could copy, the intro, the visual hook. You could copy what they're saying, and you could utilize it for yourself and for your clients. And it also helps if you're able to communicate this with your clients to help them begin to understand the hook concept and the hook lines and how they could incorporate it into their brand so that they could produce some more results for their content. The next hack is the 80-20 rule. You don't need a ton of content all the time, just be busting it out. You could actually repurpose content to use to be consistent with what you're putting out. So for instance, what I do with one of my clients is we shoot a podcast. Let's go to black. We shoot a podcast and it's roughly 30 to 40 minutes. That's not how you spell minutes, but you heard me say it, so there it is. So we get this podcast shot, and then what I do is go through the podcast, or one of my editors will go through the podcast, and they will cut out different pieces that we could use as reels for social media. And there's plenty of platforms out there that do it. You could have your editor do it. You could do it yourself if you feel savvy enough to do it. But typically, out of this 30 to 40 minute podcast, it'll produce probably, I would say, at least 3 or 4 solid pieces of content that you can reuse and repurpose into your daily post, into your client's daily post. It's pretty straightforward. Whenever you do release something like this, maybe it's not a podcast, maybe it's like a training, kind of like this video, where it's a little longer than like 30 seconds to a minute. You could chop pieces up from this to use it and to put it out there. And if it's valuable information, it's going to resonate with people. You may have to do a little bit of editing to make sure that you have the hook at the front end, or maybe you'll come in with your phone and say, this has been a breakthrough in how I do XYZ, and I want you to watch it, something like that. And then you splice in that piece that was snipped from the podcast. That way you're putting out more content, and it's not necessarily filler content. It's actual valuable information that you put on this podcast or on your training. That way people will engage with it. That way it'll be information, it'll be educational, and it'll help people engage with the rest of the content. Even outside of just snipping it for posts like Reels or Shorts, you could take segments from this training video or from this podcast or whatever you want to call it. You could take segments for that and you could turn it into something like an email. Maybe you have a good email list and you want to send out this email, and it's taken from a snippet from your video that you cut up, and you want to do an email, or maybe you could put it on X. I'll put a /Twitter for those of you that know it's also Twitter. You can make different, still graphics out of it, like even a slide deck. You could do all sorts of stuff with this content, and you're not just like having to come up with fresh, brand new ideas over and over. Because I've been there. I've been to the point I'm like, man, what else can we create? We already created everything. And it wasn't until we started doing like a podcast type thing for one of my clients that I saw the value in it. We're putting out a ton of content. It's a whole bunch. I could take snippets from there. And some of the most viral content that we put out for this client has been from that podcast, because they might have had a guest in, or they might have said something that was like controversial. So people just want to go there and engage. They want to comment. They want to set people straight and say, no, it's like this, and we'll take it. It's more eyes on the content. The algorithm pushes it out there more. So something to think about as you put content out. You could repurpose it and just do the 80-20 rule. Hack number 3 is utilizing something like, you all have probably seen it out there. You probably heard a lot about it because it works really well. ChatGPT. So one thing that I recommend to my clients is to get a specific ChatGPT set up, one of their accounts set up for their specific content. So I ask my clients to set up an account of ChatGPT that I have access to, so I could utilize that to help them create better content. One of the main prompts that we use is you prompt ChatGPT and say, ask me 20 questions about my business because I'm going to need help creating social media content. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I literally just, if a client doesn't want to do it on their time, I'll do it for them. Super simple. If it's an email we could share, an account we could share that they got the password to and they could get in there and use it, cool. So I would copy those questions. I literally texted it to them. About a few minutes later, when they had free time, they sent back the answers. I put it back into ChatGPT. And then from that point forward, I'm able to prompt ChatGPT and say stuff like, help me create content for a slide deck. Help me come up with some motivational quotes. Help me come up with a YouTube video idea. Help me come up with a hook video idea. Stuff like that. That is huge because it kind of takes away the pain of like having to be overly creative and try to come up with the next greatest thing, because you prompted ChatGPT in a way that it's going to take from all of its resources, all of its data to help you come up with the best stuff. It makes it a lot more easy. It also gives you options. So you'll be able to pick through stuff. You'll also be able to tell it stuff like, option number 1 and number 4 don't really fit what we're working with. So try to generate more stuff like 2, 3, and 5, something like that. That way it helps dial it in more. That way you could create better content for the audience that you're trying to reach. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to call this like a hybrid ChatGPT / let's call it a Google Drive, something like that. So what I would do, and what I do is I put the best performing content in a Google Drive, and I just take note of it. And I say, this is the type of content that is working for us. It's resonating well with the audience. So I'm going to put that into a Google Drive, and I'm going to reference these pieces of content when it comes time to make more content. And you could even tell ChatGPT, you could upload something like the transcript from it. You could even upload the video file, and you could just tell it, take from these well-performing pieces of content and develop more content from it. Or you could say, help me develop something very similar to this. That way the content is not really a guessing game. It's based off of well-performing pieces that have already been out there, that have already seen success, that have already performed very well. And that way you're producing on top of that. It's not really a guessing game. So ChatGPT, the hybrid with Google Drive, storing all your information, keeping it centralized so it's easier to get, easier to access, and then move it around as you need it. It's huge. So that was hack number 3. Hack number 4. This is called the 3E content framework. That means you want to make sure you're generating content around these 3 E's. The first one is entertain. The next one is educate. And the third one is elevate. And elevate will be something like inspire, motivate. So something like this is super important because you want to make sure that you're staying on track with these 3 things. As opposed to before, when I did it, I was like, all right, we need to do something cool. Let's just make something super cool and I'm just going to capture it and it's going to be awesome. And there's no context to it. It's just a cool looking video. And that could be probably a little bit more like on entertain, something like that. Maybe a little bit on educate, depending on what the video looks like. But elevate is probably not even there. But now that I create content, I'm actually thinking at the forefront of my mind, along with the other stuff that we're talking about, is which one of these 3 E's is it going to be within? If it's not within these 3 E's, it's probably going to be on the back burner. It may not happen unless the client just really wants to do it. But you know what? At the time that we see the great performing content, they'll trust that we're on the right path and we don't need to worry about something else. We could actually stick to these. And that might be a place for you to help educate your clients on this so that they could get the same mentality that you have when it comes to incorporating stuff with these 3 E's. So let's just talk about a few examples of the 3 E's. Like I said, a really cool looking video could kind of fall under entertain. Something awesome, something wow, something like just amazing. So I would say something just amazing would probably be around the entertain category. It could even be something like funny. I know a bunch of my clients are silly people and they just love to be funny and they love to goof around. And sometimes that content does really well because it helps people relate to them. Like it's entertaining. So the next one, we'll say educate. This one's pretty straightforward. Educate is basically like what I'm doing here, or tips, tricks, insights. So let's say, for example, you're working with a hair salon and you want to do something around the educate portion. What you could do is create content that is like, these are the 3 best products that I use on my client's hair to give them the best results. Something like that, and then you begin to educate them. Number 1, I use this. Number 1, I use this. Number 2, I use this. Number 3, I use this. And that's educating the demographic that they want to reach, and it's actually setting you up as a superior in that niche of hair salon stuff because they see you as the expert. So something to think about, generating educational content like that, tips, tricks, insights, just something that is going to really help the people that you're trying to reach. And let's talk about elevate. Elevate is actually, I already said here, it's inspiration, motivation. This one is pretty easy to do if you're able to utilize something like ChatGPT. It makes it a lot more easy, especially if you prompt it correctly and say, this is what my brand is about. This is what I stand for. Like for me, I'm a Christian brand and I believe in God and I do Bible-based principles, and all my credit goes to, being a Christian, being a believer. So I let ChatGPT know that so that it doesn't create stuff that sways away from that. So when it comes to motivational stuff, I'll say something like, help me create 5 motivational topics or 5 motivational pieces of content around fill in the blank. And you could kind of just see how that goes. Sky's the limit. And it's going to know based off of your brand and the information it received about your brand. It's going to pull from all that information and it's going to give you options that you could use. Customize, like I didn't really say that in the previous hack. you need to customize it. Don't just take what ChatGPT is giving you verbatim. You want to customize it to make sure it better fits you. And you could even tell ChatGPT back that, I want it to be more like this, just so that it knows, because the more information you put into it, the better it's going to produce for you. So Elevate is a great one. People need motivation. A lot of people, we're in the day and age that you're on social media and you could be upset because you just scrolled around and you saw a bunch of people that, you wish that you're at their level or your perceived level of what they are, and they could be upset. So a little motivation goes a long way, especially if it's incorporated in your brand. Something like a gym. People need motivation to work out. They need encouragement. You make something that motivates them. You come off as the expert, and you're also coming off as like a really good feeling for them because you motivated them. So stick to these 3 E's whenever you're generating content. You could go off a little bit, but as a rule of thumb, I like to stick with these 3 E's. It's going to help you a lot. That was hack number 4. The next one is, let's go to the pen. The no face content. So this will be something like, maybe a B-roll, maybe snippets of your clients, stuff like that, that doesn't have your face on it or your client's face on it. That way, it's just switching it up that people are not only seeing, your face or the client's face. You're switching it up a little bit to be more engaging and to not be redundant and not get to a point that people that are viewing your content just skip over it because they're like, oh, it's the same person. It's something new, so it'll stop them and they'll be like, oh, wow, it's this brand that I've been engaging with. That's awesome. So something to think about would be like a voiceover. Maybe you're filming from your phone and you're filming something that is going on, in your client's space or in your space, and you just add, you make a cool looking video and you add a voiceover on top of it, or you could be doing the voiceover while you're recording. Something like that works really well. You could even do something that's like a B-roll, and then you may not even need a voice on there. You just have captions on it, which they're kind of the same thing as the voiceover one. Maybe you want to do B-roll with a voiceover. B-roll with captions is a good one. Just have music playing on the background and you could have the captions on top of it. Another one would be, which I do enjoy, is memes. You could also do something like a carousel. So you could either do like multiple memes. Carousel is not how you spell it. Oh well. So you could do something that's like multiple memes or multiple graphics, something like that, that is not the client's face or your face. That way it's just different content to help keep your audience engaged. Voiceover is pretty straightforward, especially if you have a phone or if you do something like with the wireless mic that I recommend a lot. Plug in the wireless mic and have the client hold it while you're filming, whatever that looks like. The B-roll, that could be really anything. You could create that thing from scratch from like stock footage, or you could get the footage from your clients or footage you already have of your clients and then put captions on top of it, and if it lines up with the 3 E's, it's pretty straightforward. If you're doing something to educate, B-roll with the captions, educating people is huge. The meme one, sky is the limit with memes because there's all sorts of memes out there. You just got to be creative with how you incorporate that with your client or your personal brand. I enjoy laughing. I enjoy watching memes and, seeing memes. It's just a good little break from, stress of everyday life, just to see something silly, to just get you happy, make you chuckle, make you want to share it with someone, enjoy a moment with someone. So producing content like that is super valuable. So this is hack number 5, the no face content trick. So let's recap super quick the 5 content hacks. The first one is the hook first formula, where you want to hook people in to stay engaged with your content. The next one is the 80-20 repurpose rule, where you could get a longer form piece of content, chop it up and develop a bunch of stuff from that. The next one is the ChatGPT hybrid, where you utilize ChatGPT and you also incorporate it with Google Drive, where you get your best performing content. You put it in that Google Drive and you utilize ChatGPT to help you generate even better content. The other one, the hack number 4, is the 3E content framework, where we have entertain, educate, and elevate. If you stay within those guidelines, it makes it super simple to generate the content so that you are having that at the forefront of your mind, so there's not a lot of guesswork. And then the last hack, number 5, is the no-faced content hack. Let me know down in the comments which hack you like the most or which hack has worked best for you. I'd love to hear. And before we jump off, make sure you go check out my free training, The 4 Secrets Media Business Owners Don't Want You to Know. It's a really awesome training. I know a lot of people got a lot of value out of it. So just click down below and get over there and check it out. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you go connect with me on all the other social platforms to see what content I'm utilizing based off of these 5 hacks. And we will see you all in the next training.